Right then, so in this video, I'm going to keep things really simple. Just one camera, one lens and a few waterfalls along the way. I'll show you how I approach different compositions using the 16-35, specifically when you're approaching waterfalls. And later on, I'll share one small focusing tip that completely changed my photography and the way I shoot, especially when I'm trying to work lightweight and move quickly. So, let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So before we get into this one, I just wanted to apologise for the lack of content recently. I've been pretty bad with my condition. I've had a bit of a flare up and I've had a bit of a cold as well, so I haven't been able to do my medication that helps my condition. And when that happens, I tend to get pretty ill and my condition gets worse as well. So I haven't been out much recently, but I don't want to start this video off complaining, even though I already have. So today, considering all that, I wanted to come out and do some waterfall photography with limited gear. So my bag is pretty much empty, apart from snacks and things. As always, I'm a bit of a foodie. But I've only got, as you can see, one camera and one lens. So today we're going to be working with the 16-35 f.4. It's my Zeiss Sony lens, and it's the first lens I ever bought, but it's considered as one of the old-fashioned typical landscape lenses really. But it's so versatile. Obviously you can bring in a lot of the landscape, and it's really good for bringing foregrounds and getting some unusual looking shots, something that's different to what your eye sees, like a 50mm type of thing. So yeah, we're going to hike around this trail. There's a pretty well-known trail these days. It never used to be. I'm not going to say where it is because I want to keep it pretty quiet, but I think a lot of you will probably guess where it is anyway. But I don't want to add to the amount of tourists going around these trails, like the other two trails in Brecon Beacons. They're pretty busy these days, but this one is considered a bit more quiet, so I'm not going to say exactly where it is. Something I forgot to say as well, I'm going to be doing a POV style. So I've got my action camera, if you can see it, obviously it's following me at the moment. So I've got my action camera on my chest, and I'm using my DJI Pocket to do these vlog style videos, and that's all I've got with me. Whew, as you can tell, I'm pretty much out of breath already. So we're going to keep this one short, and we're going to get as many compositions as we can along this trail with all the waterfalls along the way. So I hope you enjoy. Cheers guys. So I'm not really sure if you can hear me, but basically what I'm doing is walking around with my camera just to find some composition before I set up. And the waterfalls along this trail is obviously the main ones, but there's a lot of small ones. And the small ones are not as well photographed, but they're probably my favourite. I'd probably prefer them over the main waterfalls, you know. So basically what I'm doing is just trying to hunt for compositions and trying to use the 16-35 to my advantage. So I'm looking for foreground interest, but not too distracting away from the falls. Obviously I want the falls to be the main subject. I quite like that flow of the water over there. Something you've got to be careful of when you come to these waterfalls is slipping, obviously. But I've got wellies on with spikes, so I'm not really slipping too much. So that works pretty well as well. Quite like this flow of the water here. And quite like that S-curve as well. So I'm thinking something like that might work. Let's try that one. And then if I come further down here, oh, the sun's going out. I didn't want that. No, it's not too interesting. There could work as well. So I've got 3 compositions ready to go. So I'm going to take those now. So I'm going to take this S-curve first. Make sure I got the right angle before I set up. Just not sure about it. So the problem I'm having with this one is creating depth, really. Like ideally I want to get more of the top in, but I'm not sure if you can see it. If I zoom out, you get the sky portion in, and I don't really want that, but I need that depth. So to be able to cut that out, I have to zoom in to about 20 mil, but then I lose that depth, so it becomes a very 2D image. But I can take it anyway. Quite like the S-curve here, but we're just going to get one shot, get out of the way.
So to be honest, I always take my first shot just to find some rhythm. Up close the waterfall dominates the frame, and I wasn't really sure about this one at first, but I think it turned out okay in the end. Without much depth it feels a little two-dimensional, but that's fine. The first image is never about perfection. It's more about settling in, getting comfortable, and let the environment guide the next move.
So what I think I'm going to do to keep it simple, and to get the first shot out of the way, I'm just going to do a typical wide shot in the portrait of this waterfall. So what I'm actually going to do is get the polarizer out to see what difference it makes. So I don't want to get rid of too much, just the foreground reflection. As you can see, there's a lot of reflection in the pools, but I don't want to get rid of that wet reflection look on the rocks. So I'm moving it about halfway. So this one I'm shooting at 35mm, and I quite like the foreground. Am I recording? Sorry, just double checking. Quite like the foreground cascade on the right side here, and then there's a flow of water to the left, and then the main waterfall obviously on the top. But I'm using the polarizer just to get rid of that reflection on the pools, but not too much on the rocks. I'm shooting in a square crop because I feel like there's a lot of mess to the left side. Focusing on the background on the main rocks. I know it always takes a couple of compositions for me to get my eye in. So I was floating around here trying to get a composition for you. I was just really struggling, but now I feel like my creative mind is set in.
Stepping back and zooming in slightly definitely added a bit more depth and structure to the scene, and I think it works better overall. I also went for a square crop to keep the focus on the flow of the water. It's a good reminder not to be afraid of different aspect ratios. Sometimes the frame you start with isn't the one that best tells the story. Eliminating unnecessary elements will focus the composition and create a stronger image overall.
So obviously with the 16-35, the joy of using it is you can get really close to subjects and zoom out, and then you can really highlight that foreground, but then you lose the size of the waterfall, and you want to create that, make that the main subject really. So I'm stepping further back, zooming in slightly, so I'm 35mm obviously, and then creating a bit more depth in the scene, And obviously I'm battling that sky above as well, so I want to cut that out. So I've cut it so these trees are in, but not the sky. And I feel like that was something I was struggling with early on. But I feel like I've got the best composition I can at this spot now, so I'm going to move on to the next waterfall. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I could see if I could try and get something there, but I think I want to move on. I've actually got something there before. There's a nice shot there actually, but it's very messy at the moment. So I'm going to move on. Maybe see if I can get something down there. Oh, look at all these mushrooms. Stunning. Oh. Okay. So I picked today to come out really, well, one because it's the only day I can come out, and these mushrooms are everywhere. And it's pretty much overcast all day, so I could stay out all day, not worry about the light. I've had a few breaks of sunlight, but I don't really want the sunlight because there's a lot of textures, a lot of details going on with the waterfalls and the trees, and I don't want to add to that complication with battling the highlights, you know. So I wanted to stay overcast, and that's why I picked today to come out, because it's pretty much overcast all day. Anything there? Could get down to there maybe. Want to battle in the sky again. There's obviously a straight on shot there probably, with that tree in the bridge. Just see if we can get something there quickly, is it? Maybe handheld. It's a very difficult waterfall to work with. Probably is shots on there, but then I'm battling the sky with it. This tree is great. So I'm just going to take a straight on shot, maybe bring in some of these leaves here. Working with the polarizer, but not too much. Let's try that.
In the end, I decided to use the tripod as I wanted a longer exposure for the water, but also because I felt like the scene deserved a bit more attention and refinement.
So what I'm going to do with this one, I set up the tripod. I'm just going to take a quick shot of it, like a portrait shot really, and then move on. So I'm going to take nearly a 1 second exposure just to get both the foreground and the surroundings in, because it's quite dark here, rather than shooting at a crazy ISO level. I'm going to take that shot. Check it. And then I'm going to take a shorter exposure for the water. So photo a second, quarter of a second I should say. And then I'll blend those two together in post. And then blend that tree in as well in the foreground. Yeah, nothing crazy, just a portrait shot of that one. I'll take a quick landscape shot of it. Let's move on.
So as I said, my plan was to blend the two, using the longer exposure for the shadows and the overall softness, and the shorter one for the leaves in the foreground and the waterfall itself. But in the end, I only blended the leaves in the foreground, and I actually quite liked how the longer exposure gave the water a slight ethereal look. It's definitely a good reminder to experiment with shutter speeds. Every scene reacts differently depending on the water flow, how close you are to the subject, and the look you're going for overall. And to be honest, it's the only way to learn what you prefer in your images. So this was the landscape version that I cropped into a square, mostly because I wanted to bring the fern on the left further into the frame. It's interesting how a simple crop can change the balance of a composition completely. So if you look closely, you'll notice the polarizer was fully engaged on that second shot. And that was a complete mistake on my part. I totally forgot that I changed from portrait shot to a landscape shot, and I didn't move the polarizer afterwards. And it's completely got rid of that sheen on the rocks. That's why I usually dial it back a little, just a little. I actually like that subtle sheen that adds a sense of texture and depth. So I know there isn't much difference in these images, but I'd be really interested to know which one you prefer, and also if you prefer your waterfall images to be short and sharp with texture, or if you like creating that movement in the water by using a longer exposure with maybe an ethereal look. Let me know in the comments which you prefer.
Let's go back up here then. I know there's probably a better shot over the other side of that. But I'm going to move on to a different waterfall. I've always loved the way these trees arch over each other here. It's a very difficult composition to get. There is a way to get it, but I can bother today. See how raging this waterfall is then, is it? This is the main falls of this area. The great Alan Coles on YouTube, and I'll put his link below for his YouTube video. It's the first place I met him at a different waterfall on this trail. And he has so much knowledge of this area. I think he lives very local. But if you're interested in more locations around the Brecon Beacons, then Alan's a great chance to watch. It's very inspiring and a great guy to meet up with as well. I might have to do a future video with him maybe, and he can give me some more pointers on locations maybe. It's not as fast as I thought it was going to be, but I know there's got to be some compositions here. So the rain's obviously coming down as well, so it adds to the atmosphere. I'll probably end up going that side, get a better comp, but I'm going to try something here maybe. See if I can get something in this flow here leading up to this falls. This rain is really coming down now. I didn't expect it to be raining this much. Taking stuff off this tripod. And go handheld for a bit. I quite like these leaves here, but then I'm not too worried about the leaves. Oh, this rain's a nightmare. I could do with a lens cover really. There's a few leaves over there. Something with waterfall photography I always try and tell myself is don't overcomplicate the scene. If you're going to get these in the foreground, then maybe just get the water in and don't worry about rocks and things, because a big rock can be very distracting. Like this type of rock, like it can work in composition, but don't overcomplicate it, and don't try and get too big a boulder in the foreground, because it will distract away from that main waterfall. So I could try and get closer there, but see if I can get something here first. Quite like the way the water's rushing down here. I might try that one first, see what I can get. It's quite nice. Let's put this bag down first, is it? I have no idea if you can hear me or not, to be honest with you, so I might have to do a voiceover. I'm hoping you can hear me. Okay. So this triangle here leads in. Really, I want spikes on these feet, really. I have got spikes in my bag, so I'm not ashamed of it now. Something like that. Yeah, I have to put spikes in my feet, I think. Okay. Let's put spikes on first, is it? I got them with me. Should do. So we got these big spikes. These are a godsend when you're working with slippery rocks and water. They'll be much better than these rubber feet.
I didn't talk you through this scene too much at the time. I was standing right next to the water, my mic was struggling, and then the two people turned up, so I'll be honest, I felt a little awkward filming. But looking back, this was actually one of my favourite spots of the day. I used the movement of the water in the foreground to form a triangle, leading the eye towards the main falls. It's a simple composition, but that simplicity keeps everything balanced. So I kept the larger boulders out of the frame because they felt a little too heavy visually and they'd pull the eye away from that natural flow. Sometimes restraint is what gives an image strength. Knowing when to leave something out can be just as important as when to choose to include. Composition, for me, is all about guiding how the viewer experiences the image and how the eye moves, pauses and connects with the scene.
So we're at the main falls now. You probably can't hear me, so probably do have to voice over on it. But I've been really struggling today. You can tell I haven't been out for a while. Because I just can't get my composition eye in, my creative eye in. So I'm trying my hardest just to take a chill pill and take my time with these compositions. So what I'm trying to do with this one is I'm obviously battling the sky again, but I've got the main falls in the back right, and then it's flowing down to the left and then finishing in the right. So I've got a bit of a curve going on, so it brings you through the frame. There's a bit of a rock on this boulder on the left side. It kind of hits you in the frame, but it also is a bit distracting as well. It's a bit messy, but it's going to take it. I've got some leaves in the foreground, but there's not as many leaves as I thought it would be. It's very early autumn, so I'm not quite sure about it, but they're going to take this, and that'll be another shot. So I'm going to focus in the background. And I focus on these main rocks here as well. I'm just going to take a couple of variations just because I'm not quite sure of the spot, this top left. It's quite bland, there's not much going on. I'm going to keep it a composition and see if I can vary this foreground, so I need a faster shutter speed, I think. See if I can get in this mainstream in the foreground.
So this was the next shot I took, just a few steps forward from the last one. There are parts of this I actually really like, especially the way the water curves around that foreground rock and leads your eye right through to the main falls. But the midground feels a little flat to me. It lacks that sense of separation between the layers, which makes the scene a little bit two-dimensional. If I were to shoot this again, I'd probably go lower to emphasise that foreground flow and reduce the empty space through the middle. But when I tried that in the field, I was just battling the sky above the waterfall. So it's all a bit of compromise. Every adjustment fixes one thing and introduces another. That's the challenge I enjoy, finding the balance between the technical and the aesthetic and deciding what matters most in the frame. So I took a few shots here, but this portrait one really stood out for me. I love how the water flows in from the corner. It just pulls you straight into the frame and leads your eye straight towards the falls. It feels more balanced overall, with that natural curve of the stream guiding the composition. After that, I started making my way downstream, just taking the time to explore a few different angles and see how the water moved through the rocks. I like to work handheld first, and it just lets me work freely to be able to find those compositions that feel right before committing to the tripod. It's easy to get stuck in one spot otherwise.
Now there's lots of lovely trees up here that I want to come back to in like a week or two. But this light isn't helping really. It's a bit harsh at the moment. But autumn is snuck up on me, definitely. I thought I was ready for it, and the same thing has happened. What happened in spring, where I become a bit ill over the season, and I miss the main parts of it. My one of the other reasons I'm doing this video with the 16-35 is because my telephoto lens, my 100-400, is in with Sony for repair still, and I'm just waiting to get it back, hoping I'll get it back before peak autumn arrived, you know. This is why I'm doing the 16-35 as well as being light gear. I love all these speckles on these birch trees. So we reached another main waterfall at this trail, and I don't want to stick around too long because I know there's a lot of waterfall groups, sort of like I don't know what you call them really, like cave in, I guess it is. I know there's a couple of caves around here we'll go through. But it's a simple composition we get really. You literally just get like this fern in the foreground and these two waterfalls in it. There's not much variation involved with this one, it's just a simple shot. So I'm going to take it. Set my tripod up ready. Right guys, so let's get on to the tip I mentioned at the beginning, and it's to do with your focus modes. So I'm set up in single shot autofocus, and when I'm out doing landscape photos I tend not to switch away from that really. So my camera is set up in such a way that the shutter button is only for taking photos. It's for a shutter button. It will not focus. So I'm set up on back button focus. So when I'm focusing on, say this waterfall here in front of me, I'm using the back button to focus on the point I want to focus on, say in the middle, in the foreground or in the centre, and I'll fire off the shot. But when I fire off that shot with the shutter, I know my camera will not shift that focus. It will not refocus for me because I'm set up on back button focus. And it's such a simple one, but especially when you're shooting handheld, you can move your camera and you know that focus will not move. And it's just saved my life over the last few years, especially when I'm doing handheld shots, because I know the focus won't move, and I use it in wildlife photos as well. But I'm basically shooting a manual focus because I know that focus will not shift, and it saves me going back and forth the focus modes as well. So that shutter button again is only for taking photos, and that back button here is for focusing. So you can do this in the menus in the Sony. You can probably do it in any camera as well. But it's such a simple thing to do, and it has changed my photography completely over the last few years, and it's made my life a lot easier, especially when it comes to doing handheld photography, because I know I can refocus if I press that back button, or keep a focus point situated on that rock maybe, and then move my camera to do a pano, I know that focus will not shift at all. Yeah, it's a simple tip, but it's a very, very useful one, and it's changed my photography to be a lot simpler when I'm out and about, and it's just easier to take photos as well. So yeah, hope you enjoy that one. Let's carry on now. So I got this top waterfall here, obviously leading down into the second waterfall, and then you got the ferns in the foreground, and then cutting out the sky. 10th of a second, 500 f16. Really simple shot, really. Oh, I love the trees under here. This one's falling down, but I absolutely love the trees. Right, last waterfall then. Every time I try to take a photo of this waterfall in particular, I get interrupted by cavers and people who are coming here to go under the waterfalls and things, and I've never been able to get a clean shot of it ever. So there's a couple of things there, but this rock is in the way, so I need to get closer. Right then, have a look at this a bit. I think what I might try and do is get up close, because I'm using the wide angle lens obviously. I have no idea if you can hear me, but take myself off the tripod again. Fall. Absolutely soak it. Don't mind it. Okay, going to about quite like the stream here and this leaf on this rock, and then the flow is coming down here as well. It's quite thinking red and very fairly low in this one. I'm not keen on this rock, to be honest with you. I quite like these three rocks and then these three rocks, but I'm struggling to make it work. I need to get lower. I'm not too sure about this one, but the main waterfall here, and it's flowing down through here, but it's also coming over to the right over these boulders. But then this big rock, I'm not quite sure about it. It's quite big in the frame. I'm not quite sure it works, but we're going to try this one. There's a tiny leaf on there as well. I'm going to my polarizer again. Watch that put down first. Not sure about that one.
I'll be honest, I was struggling a bit with this composition of the field. The large boulder felt like it was taking over the frame a bit, but I decided to take a few variations, including a wider shot and a portrait shot, just to see how it would feel later on. I'm actually really glad that I did. Once I got back to editing, I realised how much that boulder anchors the image and adds a little sense of depth. The stream of water cutting through the foreground creates these really nice interesting angles that just pulls your eye straight through the scene as well. Sometimes it's worth shooting even when you're unsure. You might be surprised what stands out once you take a step back. So that was it for the day, and it was just in time because that's when the waterfall groups turned up, as always.
So, we come to the end of the trail now, and I more or less got to the main waterfalls, but I didn't get to every single waterfall. There are a lot of waterfalls along this trail, and I didn't want to spend all day out really, just because I want to take it easy. I'm still recovering. Limiting myself to one lens, the 16-35 was definitely a good choice, I feel. When I do waterfall photography, I'm more or less using a wide angle lens or mid-range telephoto lens anyway, but having the one lens and one camera setup on the tripod or on the Peak Design clip out of the camera bag meant I didn't have to go in and out of my camera bag awful lot. I didn't have to carry too much, and it just saved me a lot of energy. Hopefully you like the shots. I haven't really seen them properly yet, so hopefully they worked out. I think it just makes you enjoy the process a bit more, limiting yourself to one lens, and you'll feel more connected to photography, and you'll have to work a bit harder, but I feel you'll get more reward for it as well. I definitely feel more rewarded using that one lens. I feel like I have to work for those images, and I feel like those compositions are definitely better. I was struggling with the sky today a bit on the waterfalls with the 16-35, so a mid-range telephoto could work better with those ones, but I feel like I got some shots anyway. So yeah, that is generally the end of the video. The car park's just up there, so I'm going to head home now. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please give the video a like. It really does help the channel out. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because it really helps out. And I'm hoping to get to that 500 mark soon, if I haven't already, before this video comes out. So, catch you soon, guys. Holgar, take it easy. See if I can make it across this river without falling, holding the camera. My action camera is out of battery, so I'm using the DJI Osmo to get across. That wasn't too bad. And we're across. Happy days. Catch you later, guys.